everybody, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Lake Charles Experience. Today, we're right down the road in Welsh, Louisiana, where we're visiting Jacques Pottery Shop, located inside Mr. Clint's, right off the main strip. We're gonna be taking a pottery class today, and there's so much more I'm really excited about. I can't wait for you to see it. Let's check it out. So we're gonna meet with the owner, Shelby. She's gonna show us around, kind of walk us through the history of the business. Then we're gonna hop on the pottery wheel, make a cup, and then show you guys what's going on. Hey Shelby, how's it going?
Hey, how are you?
Good, nice to meet you. This is a beautiful place you have here.
Thank you.
Okay, so how long have you been here?
We've been here for 5 years.
5 years? Okay, how long have you been doing pottery?
We've been doing pottery since college, so about 8 years now.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I've seen some of the pieces you had here. It's beautiful work. I love this
you.
kind of stuff. This is really cool. I saw do you have a class going on currently?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So you teach classes?
We do. We teach paint your own pottery classes and pottery wheel classes.
Okay, so kind of walks you through. So I know nothing about any of this. I did something in high school. I just threw some clay together and put it in a fire. That's about my experience level here. So
That's the basics for sure. Yeah, we can kind of walk you through some of the things that go on here at the pottery shop.
Okay, so you could take someone like me and make stuff, eventually to make stuff like you make stuff.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So over here we have our paint your own pottery section. We have all of the pieces here that we make in-house with vintage pottery molds that we pour with liquid clay and fire. And then we have about 40 color options to choose from. So you can come and paint whatever you want. We do classes by appointment on Wednesdays through Saturdays for paint your own pottery and pottery wheel.
Okay.
So we have a variety of things that we offer, and we have little trinkets for the kiddos, and then we have dinnerware as well.
That's awesome. So you pre-make all of this yourself?
Yes.
And then they can just purchase and paint as they wish?
That's right.
So this is perfect for people like me who don't know yet how to.
Exactly. Very beginner friendly.
Okay. So do you swap it out for the season? I see there's some Halloween themed stuff here.
Absolutely. We have a little Halloween section. We have our Christmas preview out right now. We're working on pouring all of our Christmas molds at the moment. So we'll have the big vintage Christmas trees. We'll have some Christmas ornaments available for painting. All kinds of Christmassy things.
This is incredible. So I was told I have to find a Christmas tree for the house this year, so I could just come get, I could paint my own.
Yes.
But that would save me so much time. I have to carry that around, tend to that. Your classes, I see we have one going on. Is she gonna paint all of this?
Yes, so this is Megan. She comes to see us about once a week or so, and right now she's working on glazing some of her pottery that she's made here at the pottery shop a few weeks ago.
So she's made everything on the table right there?
Yes.
That's awesome. So it's not just a one-time thing you do. You could come back and continue your learning essentially?
Absolutely. We do courses. So we do 4-week, 6-week, and 8-week courses.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So you can really learn a lot and kind of hone the skill as you go along.
For sure.
So it's a lot more than bowls and cups, they say?
Right. Bowls and cups are what we start with for all of our basic classes, for all of our beginners. And then as you grow with your pottery skills, we can kind of create a custom course curriculum for you so that you can master all of the basics.
Interesting. So what's the most interesting thing someone has come and made in one of your classes?
Well, recently I had one of my recurring students, Mr. Richard, make a boat.
Ooh.
So he slab built a boat. He brought in an example piece that he liked and he created it from scratch. It was amazing, very cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So we've heard a lot about the day-to-day, kind of what you do on a weekly basis. What's the history of the business itself? What made you want to get into this and start all of this?
For sure. So I got my art degree from McNeese in 2018, and I couldn't really picture myself doing anything other than this. So I gave myself a year and said, hey, if I can make a business out of this, awesome. And if not, I'll go get myself a real job. And we're 5 years in, and I haven't had to go get a real job yet.
Well, congratulations.
So, thank you.
Well, when you enjoy what you do, it doesn't feel like work, right?
That's right.
So where do we spin on the wheel? Does that happen back here?
Right back here, yep.
Okay, after you. So I know we're in Welsh. I come from a small town as well. Is the community a very important part of what we do here, or do you see a lot of out-of-town people?
So we do have our regulars that come in from Welsh, but we do get a lot of business from out-of-towners as well. I have clients that come in from Lake Charles, Lafayette. I've had people come from across state lines. We get some regulars come in from Beaumont and Vidor and all kinds of places. So this is our potter's wheel. I have 2 wheels that I use on the regular. This particular one I have lifted up on cinder blocks so that we can stand behind it instead of sitting at a potter's wheel.
That makes sense.
For me, doing demonstrations, it's a lot easier to be able to stand and talk to everybody around me. It also helps out with your back. If you hunch over the potter's wheel for too long, you know, you can cause yourself some pretty bad back problems. So just for health and safety reasons, I prefer a standing wheel.
Makes sense.
So this one we've had for a few years, and it is my favorite one that I have in the shop. So this is my wheel,
Okay.
and you know, people use it too, but I like this one for me.
It's your personal wheel.
This is my personal wheel. That's right.
So what's the process like? How do you get started with any of these projects you have going?
So we first pick our clay. We normally have 3 clay varieties that we keep on hand in the pottery shop. My favorite is this one.
Okay.
This is our porcelain clay. So this is what I'm gonna have you guys use today.
Awesome.
And we're gonna start out with about 1.5 pounds of clay for most beginner projects.
Okay. So what makes this your favorite?
It's a very soft clay, and whenever it's fired, it's a bright white. So
Okay.
whatever glaze or paint you put on there, it's a perfect canvas for whatever design that you have in mind. Darker clays sometimes kind of blur your images that you put on there and change
Makes
the
sense.
colors of your glazes. So this is a good beginner-friendly pottery clay.
So is this what you have with all the pre-mades you had to paint your own?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So that's what it's gonna look like when we're done.
Pretty much, yep.
Awesome. I feel like this is the typical clay that I see in most
Yep.
of anything that has a spinning pottery wheel, they have this kind of clay?
Yep.
Okay. Is that because it's easy to use, like you said?
It's a soft clay. It's a good, nice, squishy clay. It's great on your hands. Sometimes we have darker clays like this one. This is our stoneware clay. Stoneware typically has grog in it. What grog
Okay.
is fired clay that they grind up and add back into the soft clay. So it kind of gets a little rough on your hands.
Okay, almost like a
So-
clay ash that goes
Yeah,
back into
exactly.
it. So what would something like that be used for?
So these are good for any dinnerware pieces that you want to make on the wheel. It's also good for like the boat that I mentioned earlier. Anything structural, this
Okay.
clay holds a little bit better. It's a little stronger once
Mm-hmm.
it's fired because of that grog that they add in
Okay.
there.
So bigger projects or more
Bigger
foundational
projects.
pieces to projects. Interesting.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna pop this clay over on this wheel for you.
Okay.
And I'll get it centered and kind of walk you through the process of how to make a ceramic bowl.
This is exciting. This is one of those
Yeah.
things I've always wanted to do, but never done.
It's a ton of fun. So we have our wheel spinning. I have it at full speed right now. That's what I like to center my clay at.
Okay.
And centering just makes sure that your clay is right in the middle of the wheel. This is a very important foundational step. Anything that you make on the potter's wheel has to be centered first,
Okay.
or else whatever you make will be really wobbly.
So what kind of pressure are you using with your hands? Is it like a light touch or I see it's moving pretty quickly.
This is pretty tough. You have to push it around a little bit for these first few steps just to make sure that your clay is right where it needs to be.
Okay. So I know you said the beginner pieces are the cups and bowls. Which of those two do we plan on
right.
making today?
So I'm gonna make a bowl right now. Bowls are a little easier to make than cups just because you don't have to control your clay as much. A lot of times when we set out to make a cup, the clay flares out to the side and it becomes a bowl.
Yes, that was my experience.
Yep. Very, very common.
So how do you know when to add the water? I see that's been something you do.
Yes, so anytime that the clay starts to heat up under your hands or stick to you, you want to add a little bit more water.
Okay. So it's to help gauge the temperature essentially.
Or just the feel of it, just to
Got
make
you.
sure that it doesn't stick to you too bad. If your clay dries out, it's really hard to manipulate it.
So I know you said we were centering. What's the
Yes.
thought behind this next part?
So the next thing I'm gonna do is open our clay up to start to establish the base of our bowl.
Okay.
So I'll show you how we do that. I'll do one demo piece for you and then I'll let you do your own as
Awesome. So watch the master work first.
well. All right, so now that our clay is centered, I'm gonna use my thumbs to push straight down into the center to open up the clay.
It's so fascinating to watch.
It is, it's very satisfying.
It's like an ASMR type thing.
Yeah. All right, and then from here we're gonna make it wider. So my thumbs are back in. I'm just pulling over to the side,
Oh, wow.
just stretching that clay out some. And you'll notice that my forearms are always braced here. As long as I can brace them, I'll keep them braced, just to make sure that I'm nice and steady. Sometimes the clay tries to pull you around a little bit. So if you
Got you.
brace your arms, you're a little bit steadier.
I assume it helps with keeping everything level and even as well.
Yes, absolutely. So from here, we'll make our bowl a little bit taller. So to do that, we'll have our left hand on the inside, right hand on the outside.
Okay.
I use my middle finger and ring finger of each hand. We're gonna line those up, starting all the way at the bottom. A little bit of pressure between your fingers and pulling all the way up and over the rim.
This looks like it's growing, like more clay out of nowhere.
So all we're doing here is pulling the extra clay up from the bottom.
So I see your foot's on the pedal. Is it a continuous thing or you have to keep it held?
It's a continuous thing.
Okay.
Yep. So as you're working with it, I'll kind of walk you through how the speed works. But basically, the further you push with your toes on the pedal, the faster your wheel will go.
Okay.
To slow it down, you'll push towards the back, and then to stop your wheel, you'll push all the way down with your heel.
Okay.
It also has cruise control, so if you want to take your foot off of the pedal at any time, it'll continue to spin at the speed that you have it set.
Okay. My girlfriend doesn't fuss at me, but she questions why I always use cruise control.
Hey, I'm a big fan of cruise control.
It's one less thing you have to worry about.
Absolutely. All right. So we have our little bowl. I'm gonna rinse some of this clay off of my hands. And then there's one more option if you want. For the very middle, we can add a swirl right in the center. So to do that, I'm gonna spin my wheel again. I'm gonna push down right into the middle and pull to the side.
Ooh.
It gives it some texture right on the inside.
There's a little flair of personality to the bowl.
Absolutely. All right, so pop that one out of our way. I'll get you some clay centered on your wheel, and then you can get started.
Perfect. So how long does something like that take to get to the point where you're ready to put it in the fire? Does it have to dry out first?
It does, yes. We dry all of our student work for about a week or so before it goes into the kiln. The reason why is because if there's any moisture at all left in your work before it goes into the kiln, when the kiln reaches the boiling point of water, the water in your pottery will start to boil and it'll explode.
Awesome.
Yeah,
you won't
it's
have a
very
bowl anymore.
exciting. Yeah.
I remember back in high school, like I told you earlier, we tried to do a pottery job like this, and I remember a lot of people's came out cracked and they were missing a whole bunch of their work.
Oh yeah.
So is this all student work, or this is some of your own personal?
Most of this, the ones that are stacked a little bit precariously, are all of my demo pieces.
Gotcha.
They sit here for a while, and then eventually they go into the kiln, and I add them to my paint your own pottery selection.
Okay.
And then all of the pieces here that are still on these bats, these are all student pieces from yesterday.
So how much of this clay do you go through in a week, let's say?
A lot. We buy about 600 pounds of clay at a time, and we find ourselves going about every 3 months to pick up clay.
That's a lot of clay.
It's a lot of clay. All right.
Cool, so this is gonna be this is my bowl.
This is your bowl, yep. It's really cool that we get to take a piece of clay and it starts out as a lump, and then you get to create whatever you want out of it. All of the pieces that we make here in the pottery shop are food safe, microwave safe, and dishwasher safe.
Even better.
Yes.
I'm fully capable of washing dishes, but the dishwasher does such a good job.
The dishwasher does a great job.
So this is the centering process, correct?
This is the centering, that's right.
Okay.
And so centering is comprised of 2 different steps that we just repeat until our clay is centered on the middle of the wheel. So the 2 steps are coning and doming.
Okay.
So first we cone our clay up, and then we dome it back down.
So what does this provide for us, that process?
This makes sure that your clay is right in the middle. It kind of works out any air bubbles that are in the clay. It makes sure that your clay particles are stacked and spinning in the same direction.
Okay.
So basically it's the first foundational step that you have to do
Got you.
for any piece that you make on the wheel.
And I assume that helps in the kiln process as well.
Absolutely,
Got
yes.
you. I don't want my bowl going kaput.
That's right. We do have some aprons on the hook if you'd like one.
I'm gonna get in the spirit.
So I'm gonna come around to the front
Okay.
so that I can walk you through it while you're working.
Got you.
First thing you need to do is find your pedal on the floor, kick it around to wherever feels comfy.
Okay.
All right. And whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and start your wheel. We'll start about medium fast speed for now.
It's about this.
You can go a little faster.
Okay.
Perfect. I'll add some water to your clay for you.
Okay.
You'll cup your hands on the 2 sides and push straight down with your thumbs right into the center.
This off.
Yep.
All right. So thumbs.
Thumbs right down into the center, and you can kind of cup your fingers on the sides so that you're steady. Okay, and now you can pull your thumbs out to the sides. Alrighty, you can pick your hands up. Gonna pull some of that extra clay from the bottom to the side.
So is that because where my thumbs were?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, it kind of gave you a sloped bottom there.
Got you. It felt so cool.
Yeah, it's so soft. You can go even slower with your wheel. Perfect. And this is the step where we start to make it taller. This is the trickiest part of the process. Your hands will be here, left hand on the inside, right hand on the outside.
And you said you like the middle and ring finger?
Middle and ring, that's right. And just very, very light pressure. You're gonna pull that clay all the way up and over the rim. Okay, you can pick your hands up. I'm gonna pull some of this extra clay over to the side.
Made a little lip to it, it looks like.
That's okay, that's cool.
It's that personality we talked about.
Absolutely. No piece is exactly like another piece. All of the pottery that gets made here in the shop, they're all completely different.
I think that's what makes it so special.
Absolutely, yeah. And even if they're made by the same person, there's no two pieces of pottery that are exactly the same. All right.
So fascinating.
Would you like to put a swirl in the middle?
I'll have to put a swirl in the middle.
For sure. It's the most fun part.
So you said just thumb and then pull?
I would use your pointer finger, start right in the middle, and then pull to the side. Perfect.
Ooh.
Sweet.
I like it.
All right, you can stop your wheel. It's beautiful.
I like it. I'm so happy with that. All right, so I got my bowl made. What happens next? Do we put it up on the shelf?
Yes, we can put it up on the shelf.
I'm on the shelf.
Yeah. So your pieces will stay here for a while. They'll dry out before they go into the kiln.
Okay.
After they're fired, we glaze them for you. And for all of our student work, we have 7 glaze options that we keep on hand all the time. So these are your 7 choices. And you can pick whichever of those colors that you'd like, and we'll pop them on there and get them fired.
This one's beautiful.
Yeah, that's our
like
number one choice for glazes.
That makes sense.
It's a perfect little glaze.
It's got a little gradient to it. That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had a great time. Again, this seems like something so much fun for the area. And like you said, people who want to travel from all over to come here. It's definitely something the community, I'm sure, enjoys. Something I'd like to ask, is there anything that Jacques in particular does to give back to the community that helps support it?
Well, you know, I grew up here, and Welsh is an extremely small town.
Yes.
So living here as a kid, there wasn't really anything for us to do. So now here with Mr. Clint's, we're really excited to be part of the revitalization of town, just to give people some new experiences and some new options to come out and have a good time in ways that they may have never experienced before or had on their bucket list for a while. Yeah, so we're excited to be here to bring some fun to the community.
Well, I love that, and you can definitely tell your passion and excitement. I know it was a shorter experience we had, but I had a great time. Again, I can't say that enough, so I can only imagine that everyone else who comes here for your full experience, like your student in there who's got so much awesome work.
Yeah.
I can imagine this is something they don't forget. So that's really awesome. Speaking of other students and things like that, is there anything people would know if they want to get in contact with you, maybe set up an appointment?
Sure, yeah, we book all of our classes on Wednesdays through Saturdays. Everything is by appointment. And we are on Facebook, Instagram, and I have a website as well, JacquesPotteryShop.com.
Awesome. Well, be sure to check them out. Again, thank you so much for having us. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope nothing but the best for you and your business going forward.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. So we are just finishing up over at Jacques Pottery Shop. Got some cool stuff. I made a bowl in a week. We're gonna see how that looks. They're gonna paint it, glaze it, throw it in the kiln, all that good stuff. Super excited. We're in the other half of the store, Mr. Clint's. They have so much cool stuff here. There's candies, there's cool drinks I've never heard of. There's all this awesome stuff, and there is the man himself, Mr. Clint. Sir, how's it going?
I'm doing good, and yourself?
Oh, great. Thank you so much for having us. I can't say it enough. You have such a cool place here.
Thank you, thank you.
I'm seeing so much stuff that's my personality, so I can already assume you're a cool dude. But
try to be.
This is some of the most unique items that I've seen. I know we were talking a little bit about where it came from. I'd love for you to show us around, just kind of show us your favorite parts of the store.
Okay, yeah, what we do is I've always been a collector, so the collections kind of like started my business. I built everything around here. I was like, what can I sell to show off my stuff? So it's kind of what I did, and a lot of the stuff is mine. Other things people donated, like a friend of mine donated this 1946 motorcycle here. A school locally, his class rebuilt it, and he asked if I could display it, and I was gladly to do it. But I collect old things. It don't matter, no certain things. I have Pee Wee Herman, for instance. Also make things like that's supposed to be me. I mean, you can see the beard,
resemblance a little
gray
bit.
beard. Yeah, I like a lot of the local memorabilia. I got a Dairy Queen sign. I got the old A and B sign, which is a bar here in Welsh for over 50 years. Markentale's feed store was another store that everybody in Welsh knew about. So I like to have a lot of local memorabilia. It's kind of like my museum that sells stuff.
I love that. So you get to put what you're passionate about.
That's right.
Throw it in a store to help give back to the community, that same stuff.
That's right, yep.
I love that.
Well, I was growing up, McDonald's in Jennings had a Corvette in it. And I, as a kid, I always thought that was super cool. So I was like, I'm gonna do this and put a car in here. Car was 71¼ inches, door was 72 inches, but we made it through.
Ooh, you have just enough room, no mistakes though.
And my son calls me a sticker artist. I dropped all these stickers one at a time.
Oh, you did all this yourself?
I did all this myself. So this
That's
is probably
incredible.
100 stickers just right here. And then the kids will be able to watch me transform it in time. 3D printed motor, of course, you know.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And the Mr. Clint license plate.
Yeah.
Got to represent.
Yeah.
This is so cool.
Yeah, and we let them sit in and take pictures. It's not complete. Like I said, they're going to be able to watch me transform it. And of course, it'll have Mr. Clint logo. Everything's got to be selfies with us in the background. So
it's a project that keeps on giving.
that's right.
So kind of walk me through the history of this place. What made you, I know you said you wanted to take your collection and make it something for the community. Aside from that, just where's all this come from?
I've always been, like I said, I've always been a collector. Flea markets, Facebook Marketplace. Just never really had a place to show it all off. So now it's actually working in my favor where it's, like I said, my museum that sells stuff. So everything I don't collect anything specific, but and like I said, everything I collect, I like to talk about. So this here is the carousel that was in front of the Jenny's McDonald's back in the 80s that I rode as a kid. So when I seen that was available, I was like, can't pass that up. You know?
I bet so many people are jealous that you have this and not them.
And a lot of people come recreate pictures. They'll see a picture of themselves as a kid, and now they'll come take it at 40 years old, you know. So
that gets a little weird looking sometimes.
Exactly. So the kids enjoy that. People always ask, does it work? I'm like, yeah, it works. So get on there and ride it. Yeah, they put in 50 cents and they ride it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So it shows that it's the merry-go-round from the old McDonald's.
Things come to me a lot of times too. Like people call me and say, hey, I know you're weird. You want this? And I'm like, yeah, I need that. You know.
Well, you had mentioned to us before that a lot of this came from the Coshada after the hurricane.
Yeah. They were damaged, and I guess they got paid by insurance, and they were getting rid of a lot of it. And I just happened upon it. Someone called and asked if I wanted it, and I was like, I got plenty of space for that. So
that's not something you just pass up on.
No, it's one of a kind, and it's great for the store. I mean, it looks great in here. And that's the thing, I knew coming in a small town, the attraction has to be the strongest thing.
Absolutely.
Like, I need people to talk about me when they leave, to tell their friends about me and all that. So just having stuff like this in here where it wants to bring people back or tell their friends they need to come check it out, you know, so that helps a lot, having all these big things.
Well, it's definitely something you can't just get everything the first time around.
Oh, no.
I feel like you come in, you get a few things here and there, you're like, man, I wish I would have had that, or I wish I would have picked that up. And
yeah.
I mean,
we got regulars that come in and still says, how long has that been there? It's something that big, and they've never noticed it, you know, and I'm like, well, that's been here since day one, you know.
So is this a soda wall?
Yeah, we have over 100 different varieties to choose from. Come from all over the states and all over the country.
So if you had to pick one, what's your favorite soda?
Right now I'm on a hip hop pop trip, which is a berry flavored cola. It's not a cherry cola, it's more like a fruit punch cola. It's really good. We offer 4-packs, mix match, or you can get an individual cold one behind the bar. And that's one thing I do too. Like, the world's missing out on conversation like this. So if you want a cold soda, you're coming to the bar and asking me for a cold soda.
That's
to spark conversation. I mean, because everybody's in this world where they don't want to talk. Like, my biggest pet peeve is going to a convenience store and the guy's on his phone on his earpiece. That's never going to happen here. So you come to my store, you're going to have firsthand talking, and they're going to tell you about every soda we have, because that's part of the job, is taste testing. So
it kind of brings you back into time to.
Right, you want to do that, yeah.
It's almost like an old Johnny Rockets type thing where you feel like you're back in the day, but you're still here.
And everybody says candy shops for kids, but I did it to make us feel like kids again. Like, you're gonna see something nostalgic in here that's gonna trigger something. You'll see a candy, or you'll see something on my wall and be like, I had that. Like, for instance, your He-Man thing a while ago. I saw your eyes light up. And that's when I know I'm doing things right. When people come in and they stop at the door and it's like, in awe. I'm
I had that as a kid.
Right, yeah. So
you
that makes me
unlocked
feel
a lot
good.
of childhood memories today. Just walking around, I was like, I had that, I had that. Didn't have that, but that'd be super cool to have.
It is pretty cool, yeah.
But this is an awesome place you have here. And you mentioned you have a cool little Halloween setup.
I opened up Halloween night 2018, so I do the whole month of October pretty big, because that's our anniversary. And we do a little food drive, and I set up a Halloween display, and kids go in and check it out.
So you had talked a lot about wanting to give back to the community through your passions and everything you're interested in. Is there anything as a business that you guys are involved in to give back, or maybe yourself personally trying to just get the name out there or help people around you?
My biggest thing is like creating memories. I have memories of certain stores in Welsh growing up, and the newer generation, there's Dairy Queen and Market Basket, like, and now they have something to look forward to, and I'm that character or that person that could affect them. Like, they're going to remember something. I don't want them to leave Welsh, because half the people that graduate from Welsh leave. I don't want to leave with bad memory. I want something to see. Y'all remember Mr. Clint? You know, I love that. So that's kind of my thing going on there. So that's kind of like what we do. And of course, that's a food drive, the haunted house we went in earlier.
That's an awesome concept too.
So things like that, just to help the community out as much as I can. And I host a cruise in. And cars pull in and visit and stuff like that. So we do a lot of things in the community. So
I love that. Well, you definitely have something special here.
Thank
it's
you.
not just a store. It's not just a candy shop for kids, like you said. I feel like I'd have more fun in here than a kid would.
Yeah, it's an experience. I knew it had to be. I want the kids leaving like they had an experience.
Absolutely. And I think you've accomplished that personally.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure. I'm gonna go look around a little bit more.
Yeah, grab what I can and get you a soda.
Waldo.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I move them around once a week.
That's an awesome concept too. Mr. Clint, again, thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all coming in.
Thank you for doing something like this, bringing my childhood back. It's really cool. That's gonna do it for this episode of Lake Charles Experience. Thank you so much to Shelby at Jacques Pottery Shop and Mr. Clint of Mr. Clint's. I got one of the 100 sodas they have, and we have some pottery waiting. It's gonna be about a week till that's ready. Definitely gonna keep you guys updated on that. But it's been an awesome trip down memory lane. I had a great time here. It's been an absolute amazing experience. Thank you for watching LCXP. We'll see you next time. It's really good.